Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A Cup of Cozy. Today's episode is special. As you can see, it is in person, our first in-person episode. And Travis, my husband, it is his debut on the show.
Any podcast.
On any podcast.
Wow.
Let me give you a little intro.
Okay.
All right.
Let me hear about myself.
I wrote this specifically about you.
Wow. Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Travis is a retro game collector, tech nerd, and serial hobbyist. And today we're going to be talking about one of his newest hobbies, which is pinball. Is it cozy?
I was going to say no. I was going to bring that up and say pinball is not the most cozy. There's actually a lot of chaos involved and randomness, but I find it cozy.
We're making it cozy today for the episode. Okay. So welcome to the show, my lovely husband, Travis.
Happy to be here. It was a long travel from the kitchen to over here. Happy to be here.
It was a good idea to do it in here with the bookshelves. They don't get the notoriety they deserve.
You're welcome. Still need the ladder. There will be a ladder on a rack or a track going down.
Yeah, we need something because I can't reach the top shelf up there. I'm too short. I have to bring out the ugly step ladder.
I mean, to be fair, the ceilings are 9-foot ceilings, so I don't think, unless we're getting an NBA player in here, I don't think many people are reaching the top.
True. Oh, am I spilling coffee?
That's not very cozy.
I'm good. So you don't get special treatment because you're my husband. You still have to talk about your cozy drink. Then you made both of us. I didn't have to make mine today. So why don't you explain what we're drinking?
Okay, we have 2 lattes with, I don't know the right pronunciation of the espresso, Lavazza. I'm emphasizing the A because in the logo it's like a big A compared to all the other letters. So Lavazza with some 1% milk on our espresso machine and no additives, no sugar, no Splenda.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yep.
You want to show off your mug?
Sure. My mug, hold it a little bit closer, is my favorite mug. It is a picture of me, has my name, and with a computer. Now, my favorite part of this mug will sound, again, unfortunately not cozy, but the look on his face, let me bring it closer, you can see, he looks both happy, yet slightly dead in the eyes as well, and for some reason I find that extremely comical, especially because he's holding a laptop and it's like somebody in IT.
Let me see him again. Yeah, it's just the slight smile of the guy on this mug.
It's like, I've seen too much.
Yeah. I have one that has me on it too. I look, I think, a little bit happier. And I'm singing on mine. We got them as Christmas gifts. Mm-hmm. They're very cute. And my mug today, I got this from my sister. She got it for me for the podcast. It is, today will be tea-rific. It's a dino mug. Oh, he's so cute.
It's actually a really good relation to pinball.
That is. That is. So, okay, so pinball. Let's just get into it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun.
No, but it is. So part of why Travis is saying that is there is a Jurassic Park pinball machine that we are thinking of acquiring. Is it confirmed yet?
Not confirmed yet. He's been a little slow in the responses.
Okay, so we may be getting that. But before we jump into owning pinball machines, how did this hobby come about? You've always had many hobbies. When I met Travis, he was building his own PC. That was like his big project and was into like custom PC builds, and he jumps from different hobbies. Pinball has become the new big one, but you've really sunk your teeth into this one. How did it start?
So it's kind of funny you asking me, even though you kind of know the answer. It's kind of a funny way to interview, but we'll inform the audience. Is that, I had never cared about pinball. We went to arcades because I'm into video games. It was always, let me go play Mortal Kombat arcade machine. Let me play NFL Blitz and NBA Jam and kind of all the arcade video-based games that I liked. I didn't even really look at pinball machines. Or I'd look at them and then turn the other way and head to the video game arcade machines. But had a work trip to Vegas, and you came along. We needed something to do, and you said, "Hey, there's a pinball museum here, or a pinball Hall of Fame. Why don't we check it out?" So we went, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting."
After a freaking long walk.
Yes, it was
in the hot weather, and I was not wearing shoes for walking. Oh, that was not fun.
Yeah, as if it just seemed like the Uber cost was so much. Oh, we'll just walk there. Hindsight, maybe would have caught the Uber, but
we got an Uber back.
Yeah, we did get an Uber back. So we went there, and I was like, okay, I got nothing else to do. Let's give it a shot. They'll have a ton of machines. We can look at things.
I originally was like, let's go, because I saw that they had arcade cabinets and stuff. And I was like, well, you're into all that.
Yeah.
So we'll go to that. It also happens to have pinball, be a pinball place.
Yeah, so we went there, we looked at some machines, and I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I saw like a Roller Coaster Tycoon one. Love Roller Coaster Tycoon, the video game. We looked at the Metallica one was broken. I kind of wanted to play the Metallica one, but that one was broken. And then near the Metallica one was an Iron Maiden pinball machine. And I was like, I like Iron Maiden. I've seen Iron Maiden, the metal band. So I was like, let's try the pinball machine. Had a whole heck of a lot more fun than I thought I would, and it was just like. And then after we left, I just kept thinking about it. I was like, that was a lot of fun. That's very interesting. And then very soon after, what was it, like a month? I think the trip was like late October, early November.
Right when we got home.
December 6th, I think it was. Don't ask me why I remember that date. I'm going to sound like I'm romanticizing the day we got our pinball machine.
No, it was right before the Super Bowl.
No, it was before. No. It was right before our holiday party, I think. Right?
I thought it was the Super Bowl.
No, it was December. The Super Bowl was later. We did play it at the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That was when like a lot of people saw it. But so ended up acquiring an Iron Maiden pinball machine, the same type of machine we played when we were out there. I played a heck of a lot of it since then, and really just dove in head first, and it surprised me. Again, it very much surprised me because I never cared.
Yeah, you thought it was like too nerdy.
Yeah, it was there's some nerdy people and strange people that play video games. There's some strange people who play pinball, but I was like, it's not my thing. Now it's my thing.
So, we bought Iron Maiden pinball. I'll put in like a picture of it or something up on the screen. And in the show notes, if you want to look, I'll put a link to a picture. People can look at our pinball machine.
The guy was super nice, right? Like voice crack. Pinside is kind of the forum for pinball machines. And I was like, okay, I want to look for an Iron Maiden machine. Let me look around. And I was trying to buy it from this one guy, but my account on Pinside was very new, and he was a little wary of scams. Again, these machines are fairly expensive, and we were in the conversation about shipping it, so I don't blame him. But I was kind of unable to pay him in the ways that he was comfortable being paid due to limits in those apps. So I had to kind of abandon that plan, and there was somebody who called me right up and said, hey, I'm traveling up for a Army-Navy football game. I'm going to be driving through your state. Oh, you're new to pinball? Have you set one up before? No. Why don't I come by, I'll deliver it to you, and I'll help you set it up. Again, it's one of those things where you get into a niche community and you see some of the nice people involved. It made it feel that much better.
Yeah. That was a day. Pinball machines come in big ass boxes.
They're big.
It took us. Did we even get rid of it? Is it still in the garage?
No, it's gone.
Finally got rid of it. It took forever.
I did, big. This is the nerdy side of it. I did save and put somewhere in the garage. I cut out the part of it that says like Iron Maiden Pro pinball machine.
I didn't know you did that.
I did.
That is nerdy, but it's kind of cute. Yeah, so we got our first pinball machine. And before that too, we came home from the trip and we're like going places to play pinball. So maybe we could tell people who are listening who are like, wow, that kind of sounds a little, even though we haven't really talked about what pinball is like, but they're just interested now because they heard us talking about it. Where might they look to go dilly-dally in the pinball world.
Dilly-dally. Yeah, I mean, so there's a really cool app out there called, I think it's called pinballmap.com. Just Google it. And it kind of has locations of different, public places where you can go and play pinball, and then different machines specifically. So if you're just looking for like a good time, then go to whatever place around you kind of has, the highest number of pinball machines. I tend to skew towards the newer ones. The old ones aren't my favorite. So anywhere like, 2000 or after, although there's really cool 90s ones. But when you get like to before the 80s, yeah, for some people that's their thing. It's not really my thing. But you go to pinballmap.com, just look for the place that has the most, go there and try some out. And then, if you start actually caring like, oh, I really want to play Ghostbusters, or I really want to play Twilight Zone, was kind of my recent experience that I hadn't played yet. And when I went on a work trip, I used Pinball Map and found them and went, you just go to some place that has a lot, and then you can look up specific ones.
Yeah. And there's a community of pinball people that I did not know exist. We went to Pinside.
Pintastic.
Mm-hmm. Pinside is the website thing. Mm-hmm. We went to Pintastic, which is a pinball convention.
Convention.
And they just have hundreds of pinball machines. You pay like a fee to get in, and then you get to play almost all of the machines for free. And we met people there, and it's just this huge thing. That's what I deleted all the footage from.
Yep, you accidentally deleted all our footage.
I maybe would have had some good B-roll for the beginning of this episode.
Oh, well.
But that was cool. Mm-hmm. And you found out about that from somebody that you met playing pinball at, like, one of the bars or something.
Yeah, one of the local barcades. Went for my second ever like tournament. Again, not expecting to like perform well or anything like that, but just have fun.
Just for fun. We did a tournament together. Oh, this is very cute.
Very unexpected.
Very cute and cozy, okay? Doing a pinball tournament with your significant other.
Cozy, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
We went, he's like, they're doing duos, so would you want to go as a joke? And I was like, yeah, I'll go. So we went, we got dinner, and we went and we played pinball, and when we got there, they're like, yeah, it's like split
flipper, they call it.
Split flipper.
I thought it was just like, like one duo versus another duo, and then like our scores combined versus their scores combined. Yeah. Highest score, that team wins. But no, it was split flipper. Go on.
So we each got to control a flipper, and I was like, oh my goodness, we saw people practicing doing that.
Yeah, I just thought they were being interesting.
Kind of cute. Like it looked like they're just like being cute couple.
Yeah, they had one arm around each other on the back, and then each had a hand on a flipper.
I called them the cute ones.
Yeah.
But then they told us, oh no, yeah, like that's how we're gonna play. And we're like,
now, you don't have to put your arm around the person, but it is one person on either side for one flipper.
A technique that whatever arm I wasn't using, I like grabbed around.
Yeah, well, you were a little too like, I want to use my other arm.
I'm just eager. I get competitive. So we did that, and we came in third.
Not out of 4. There were like 11 teams.
Yeah.
And we were one of the last 2 teams that didn't have any strikes. It was like a 3 strikes, you're out kind of tournament. We were doing good.
That was so fun, and we met some other couples that play pinball. Cute couple.
How nerdy is that?
The cute couple were also in the top 3. And
they were the ones who didn't have any strikes with us.
Yep. And they have pinball machines at their house too. And they were like, do you guys play in any tournaments? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're making pinball friends. But that was fun. I like the different themes of pinball machines.
There's no Barbie one yet that I know of.
No Barbie one. And like thinking about, they're so complicated, right?
Ooh, hold on. But there was, I don't know if this would be considered quite cozy because it's a board game, but I think the art was pretty cozy. But we saw that custom machine somebody reskinned, Everdell. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, Everdell, the board game. It's a really cute board game, worker placement. And somebody made an old pinball machine, like, put art to make it Everdell themed. on there, and it looked very cute and cozy. And it's not as like crazy flashy as some of the other pinball machines because it's an older one.
Yeah, some people prefer that.
Yeah, some people. Hence, Travis, he likes the crazy flashy ones. I prefer things a little bit more subdued. I say late 80s, early 90s is like my sweet spot.
Yeah, I think so. You do have a sweet spot for Elvira. I love And Elvira is also not, I wouldn't consider her like a cozy persona.
Okay, but my favorite pinball machine, or actually that's hard. I've kind of got two now.
Oh, okay. Oh, God.
I really like the Elvira machines now. If you don't know who Elvira is, she's very bodacious. Is that what it is? Or is that your ass?
Whoa, ass. You watch the language on the podcast. She's very...
Busty.
Busty. And not afraid to show it off. That's kind of her thing.
Yes.
But your favorite machine of those also is kind of an innuendo.
My favorite machine, which is at the place that we go to a lot to play pinball, is Scared Stiff. And okay, it's cute because like you hit is it frogs in there?
Yeah.
Hoppers. Yeah, you hit the little things and then these frogs pop up and that's cute and cozy, okay? But other things aren't. But I like that one. And then my other new favorite one from Pintastic.
If you make enough money on the podcast, maybe you can get this one.
I loved it. It is called Galactic Battle Tanks.
No, Galactic Tank Force.
Galactic Tank Force. And there's twerking cows.
Well, I think what should be mentioned is that we were at the event and I was over there playing I wanted to replay the Elton John machine, and you see this one. It's got like tanks and the theme's like aliens and
ice cream.
Tanks and ice cream, and you're like, I'm gonna go play this machine, right? And then you played it and you come over to me and you're like, I have a new favorite machine. And I was like, what? And then as I'm standing in line for Elton John again, you turn around and you look at the machine, and on the newer machines have LCD screens on them and can do graphics versus the old ones that just had what they call a dot matrix display, DMD. And you look over and there's some animated cows twerking. And I'll be right back. And she goes right back over and plays the machine. Says, this is great.
There's like, yeah, they're like, it's about a crew that's like delivering ice cream in space, and they like have to save the cows from the UFOs. And
as ridiculous as it is, I'm completely unsurprised that that's something you would gravitate towards.
I love the theme. I love theming. So let's talk about theming.
Okay.
And let's talk about how you're getting into this hobby in another way, because it goes along with theming.
Okay.
So would you like to say what you're doing? What are you doing?
Dude, I'm building a pinball machine. It was very, very soon after getting a pinball machine. I mean, like, again, not in the hobby at all, to buying a pinball machine in December. Now, actually, it's funny because, I don't know if I told you this, but while we were in Vegas for the conference, I was already kind of looking up articles and seeing people who were like built pinball machines and stuff.
I think I knew you were looking at that a bit.
It didn't take but a month of completely getting into the pinball hobby that I was like, I want to build a pinball machine. That looks really challenging, really rewarding, and really fun.
Something I wouldn't ever want to do. But you said, I think it was when we were like at the hotel, you were like, it kind of combines like my different likes, like electronics, but like games and all this stuff. And
yeah,
like,
it was.
That's true. It kind of does combine.
It does. It's a very interesting amalgamation. Is that the right word?
Yeah, well, that's a big word.
I'm thinking plain bananagrams. I don't know how to spell it though. But video games. There's a component to video games in pinball that's kind of like a natural. That's why they're often in barcades. They're kind of the same genre of entertainment. But with my background of like enjoying technology and doing light computer programming and technical things in nature, combined with like video games and being able to design a game that's in that category was like super cool. And there's the physical nature of it too. So it's like I had recently, not recently, but within the last like 2 years, started buying I always had retro game consoles, but started buying them to repair. So working more on electronics and that sort of stuff. So I had kind of already ventured a little bit in that direction of that space. And it was like this pinball is this very cool combination of like working with things physically. So you have game design, you have to design the shots, you have to figure out how to incorporate a good theme into the pinball machine. You have sound design in there, you have the programming component of it, you have to make your own rules, right? Like it's completely up to you what you want to do. And then, you know, to build a pinball machine, there's so many different disciplines also involved you need to learn. So that being, you know, I've been 3D modeling what the play field is going to look like.
The most frustrating thing for you is the 3D modeling.
I had never 3D modeled anything before. It's very frustrating to try and figure out, but I'm working through it. Got a membership at the local makerspace because, you know, you have these big play fields, you have this big cabinet. I didn't want to like buy something like already configured. Like what some people will do is buy an existing machine, new, old, whatever it is, and like we talked about with Everdell,
Reskin it.
you retheme it. That's what they call it. So you change. Sometimes you can change the rules, but otherwise you might just leave the rules the same, and you basically just change the graphics and sometimes change the sounds, things like that. But when I jump into something, I kind of want to do it. I want to go the full way.
He does.
Even though I know it's going to be, you know, very rewarding but very painful along the way. So I learned how to use the CNC machine at the makerspace, so I could CNC out the play field so that what I'm designing in 3D on the computer, I could then translate to, you know, something physical. I've had to do some metal work. I just went down recently and did the machine shop certification, safety certification, so I could use the lathe because I'm going to need to use the lathe.
What that
so
is.
there's all of these like to build this, I have to learn like 6 to 10 things that I've never done before, which is both extremely daunting and also like a challenge that is extremely exciting because you get rewarded along the way. When you are able to, and what I've done recently is do more of my own 3D printing of actual things where I design it, because you have something on the play field, you say you want half loop. I've done recently where the ball would go up around this loop and then go on a trail, a rail to then come back down. And to prototype things, it's great to model it. Then you throw it on the 3D printer, you get to see it in physical form, what you just created digitally, and then test it out and say, does this work? First one I did, it worked, but it was too hard. It was a very narrow shot, so it was hard to hit. So I went back, I redesigned it, I made it a little bit wider, changed a few things around for iteration number 2, printed it back out on the 3D printer, popped it on the playfield. Now it's working great. Very rewarding. But I didn't know 3D modeling before, I didn't know all of these things. And I still have a lot to learn.
You have such patience and the ability to I guess it's because you're interested in it, to really learn those things and dive into them. I feel like I'm not that way. Is there something that I do that you're I wouldn't ever spend time figuring out all that?
It's more just, I'd say it's more just the hobbies that I'm not into. So I'm like, oh, that's a lot of time spent on something that doesn't interest me. Doesn't mean it's not interesting in general, but just doesn't, interest me. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do this.
I'm gonna go 3D model.
Yeah, I'll go do my things.
Well, I like watching you do your project and
thank you. Even though
better at it.
It's one of those things where a lot of the time you're like, are you enjoying this, right? Because
Yes.
when I concentrate, I tend to have they'll say resting B face for people for things. I have if I'm focused on something, I have resting I hate my life face.
He does. He does. What was that video game you were always playing? Factorio. And I'd see him, and he played on his laptop, at the coffee table. And he's hunched over, and he looks so serious. And it's are you having fun? It's also when you had a stressful job, so you were stressed. So you were doing that to de-stress. It
looked the same. I can I understand your concern.
Well, that as a joke kind of ties into a question I want to ask.
Okay.
Of why is it important to spend time doing things like this, these passion projects? Obviously, you're putting a lot of time and energy into it. And I think it's important for you to do that. But why? Why do we think that, Travis?
Well, I mean, for me, I like feeling like, it doesn't have to be all the time. I like bumming around the couch and watching TV as much as the next person. But like, I do work during the day. You feel accomplished during the day at my job. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have a job. I feel, value in what I'm doing and accomplished. But then afterwards, it's like, that I'm forced to do. This is something that I'm choosing to do. And, like having a big project to me kind of motivates me. And I don't always have a big project going on all the time, but I have like anchor points in my life where I've had these big projects. So kind of I'll say my first big project was the Megadeth discography, guitar video, where at the time, there's been more songs since, but I made a compilation of about 5 to 7 seconds of every single Megadeth song that had ever come out.
Take.
And then I played it on guitar and recorded it in one take, right? And like some, other people have done something similar since, but other people have also just like, you record yourself doing it, then you record the next song, you do all these separate clips and then just edit them together, which is fine. But I thought it would be really cool if I did it all in one take. So it was around 20 minutes of playing it. And you have a pretty high standard for yourself of things like perfectionism, and so do I. So I spent a lot of time doing that. Eventually put it out. Got like 250,000 views on YouTube. The leader of Dave Mustaine of Megadeth tweeted about it.
In the show notes, and that everybody could watch it.
So that was really rewarding, and kind of it's a very nice to see like the efforts you put into something. You spent a lot of time and effort doing it, and being able to then put it out in the world and see it flourish is a very rewarding feeling, and it helps you feel accomplished. From there, I moved on to what you mentioned kind of in the intro, was the custom computer building. And we're not talking like just, you bought some parts and put them together. I had already done that before, but it was, I wouldn't say it was the start, because this is going back a while, but doing a custom hardline water-cooled build where you're actually taking the acrylic tubing, using a heat gun to bend it at the right angles, and really what I was, what people kind of in that hobby refer to more as like computer art. Right, is like,
it's very pretty.
It's very nerdy, but it's like computer art of where I designed the build. There's artistic components to it, and at the end of the day, you're putting water in your computer that's going through all these tubes. A lot of areas that can be fairly catastrophic to a computer. So I'd say that project was probably bigger than the guitar video one. Took me a while to do. It was definitely more expensive. But at the outcome of that, I released that, I posted it on Reddit and stuff, and like got a ton of upvotes. People loved it. I was like it's on the top 2 pages of like PC Part Picker.
Yeah. Got interviewed for it?
I got interviewed by somebody who worked at NVIDIA at the time. Like, again, so it was like all this effort I put into and getting rewarded. And probably since then I haven't had, that was, when was that, 2014?
That was like at the beginning of our relationship. I was still in college.
Yeah, sometime around there. And
you did the thing for the trade show, the computer for the trade show.
Oh, and
somebody sent you that weird case.
Yeah, so a couple years went by after I did that one, and Deep Cool is a computer manufacturer. They reached out to me to do a computer for a trade show. So, I was like, oh, cool, I get to do another build and I don't have to pay for everything. So it was a really strange case that had like an
X.
That had these 3, it was almost like an X, had these 3 compartments or whatnot. And it was both, so what I did was I put the tubes that hold the water, like the main vesicles for it, on the outside of the case, which I thought looked really cool. Unfortunately, it made it out to the trade show. Because me and my dad built an entire like...
Oh, that box! I forgot about that intense box.
I brought this the box probably, it was made out of wood, this huge box to store it. I had all sorts of protective padding in there. It probably weighed, just the box weighed like 100 pounds.
Like a treasure chest.
Treasure chest. Bringing it down to UPS to ship. But the most important thing was that it made it to the trade show okay, which it did. But on the way back, there was no liquid in the compartment that it should be in, and the motherboard was toast. But that was probably my last project before this one.
I'm trying to
think.
Like
big project. I've done other things, but not like I'll consider this at scale.
Yeah, that's That's
Like, we're
fair.
talking, I mean, so we haven't mentioned it, but like this pinball project, I'm anticipating to be like a 2-year, project.
It's already further along than I thought it would be.
Same.
Like,
It helps that we don't have kids at the moment.
so being little homebodies as we are, we really enjoy to just do things at home. So it's great. I don't mind him going and like doing his project in the basement, and I'm up here and I'm reading or I'm playing some games
Or potatoing on the couch watching TV.
Guess I need to get better at that and not do so much of that. But I know that some people are like, why do you let your husband spend so much time doing that? But like, it makes him happy and feel fulfilled. So I think it's good. It's important to have hobbies. Travis has taught me to have hobbies. When we first met, everything I did was like for a purpose. It's like, I need to do it to make money. Or like, it's got to grow into something way bigger. I didn't do it just for fun.
Are you doing the podcast for fun?
I am doing the podcast for fun, but also like, I wanted to get a little bigger.
Okay.
But things like playing cozy games and just having fun playing them, reading and just reading them and not feeling like I need to write a book review afterwards or like feel like I'm reading books because I want to get into the publishing industry or like it always had some bigger goal that made it stressful.
Yeah, it took a little while to kind of get that out of you.
It really did, and now I'm so much happier because I do things just for fun, and I have a ton of things that I do for fun. Like recently, my manga. Been reading a lot of manga. That has been really fun. And my social media content creation stuff it's for fun, but I do take it a little bit more serious than just for fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting I think probably millennials specifically, is that before, when we were younger, Instagram and Facebook and MySpace and all these things, like they were newer, but at some point we didn't have them. So like when you did things, there were plenty of ways that you could be the best in your vicinity, the best in your friend group, right? So you kind of get that feeling of, I am the best. Then with the internet coming and like everybody starting to put things on YouTube, you're like, I guess I'm not actually that good at guitar, or I guess I'm not, and you kind of, it's very easy to find anybody much better than you at whatever you want to do on the internet, which partially is why I would say to you is like, when you want to be the best, it's like, it's hard to be the best at anything, and that's okay.
That's making me think of this book I have. It's literally right here.
That's convenient.
Can you grab that?
Which one?
Seth Godin.
The Dip?
Yes. I think this is a good book, but also a dangerous book.
Why? What's it about?
It's about becoming the best.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll just take this out of your hands.
So it's like talking about people who are like, they want to start a YouTube channel or something, but like you start having success at the beginning and then you get to this point that's the dip, and that's where it's like really hard and you're really not seeing success, and you either have to make your way through the dip and get to that more success, or you just fail in the dip.
Yeah.
And the book kind of teaches you where to fail in the dip. So I think it's important. It's a good book for if you're really serious about something and you really want to like make it successful. But I was kind of taking this advice for everything.
Oh, yeah. Not healthy. Not healthy.
That's not good. So a good book and a dangerous book. That is on my shelf right here.
Yeah, not realistic nor healthy to do it for
This
everything.
is a better one. This one's healthy. Atomic Habits. Make tiny habits.
If you keep pulling books out of here, they're going to think we planned this.
This is my nonfiction section.
And right here we have Succeeding with Agile, the day job for
Day job.
Kelly.
I have 2 Agile books there. Yeah, as you can see, the nonfiction section is down here where you can't see it, and it's this one little shelf. All the rest is fiction. You can see what I like. All right, let me see what I've got on my
I
list.
say you haven't checked your notes yet.
I haven't. It's kind of just like a safety net.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm touching your toe.
That's okay. We could play footsie. Okay. I mentioned that we were going to bring up themes, and we never really talked about themes. Why don't you tell people the theme of your pinball machine? And maybe we'll just talk about like some other fun themes that we like.
Yeah, actually, I think why don't we start out? I was going to start out
Fun
actually
themes
with the
that we
fun
like.
themes that we like. And so, I'll say what themes I like in a pinball machine, not necessarily what themes sell. So, recently they announced a John Wick pinball. A lot of people like John Wick, but pinball machines are expensive. And the people who tend to be able to afford them are, probably closer to the 40 to 50, 60 years old because, you've been working a lot longer, can afford them. So kind of the older themes often resonate a little bit better initially, right? So prior to this, Stern released Jaws. Jaws is not a new IP, right? It's pretty old, things like that. Godzilla before that. I mean, there's still Godzilla movies, but again, kind of the origination of that. It's been around a long time.
Yes.
So if you want like a quick buck, that. But now there's nothing wrong with that. I like Godzilla, the pinball machine. It's pretty cool. It's an interesting theme. But I like themes that lend themselves well to pinball. Like you can see how, because realistically what they're trying to do is, you take a theme and then build a machine around the theme and you want to incorporate it as best you can. Now, you could be very, we'll say gimmicky and just say like, oh yeah, we'll have this random layout and then we'll just put figurines places that are in the theme and we'll put the logo on the big back box or something. But that's not really incorporating the theme into the pinball machine. It's kind of just slapping the two together. But
that's what I feel like older machines do more so than the newer ones. I think newer ones are way more creative and incorporated.
Yeah, they are, because the techniques for and the technology to build them, especially now with the introduction of LCD screens, you can kind of throw theme in your face and incorporate things interestingly. Again, you can also go down the bad route of that, but so I do like music, and I like metal music and hard rock. So, some of the music pins are my theme. It was very close to, even though we already have a music pin in Iron Maiden, I was like, oh, but the Foo Fighters machine is so cool.
It is cool. I like the Foo
And then
Fighters.
we played the Elton John machine, and I was like, this machine is so beautiful. I love the, the Elton John machine. But so music's a very common theme. The other ones that you see all the time are TV shows, movies, video games. So like we just recently played the older Godzilla, and they kind of incorporate that by having a big Godzilla,
huge,
creature huge in the pinball machine. We both really like The Simpsons Pinball Party, so
have to. It's like obligation.
Yeah. So they incorporate the theming really well. So if it resonates with me for a theme, I really like it, but it also has to feel not gimmicky. It has to feel like they actually planned the two together and not on the side and just put them together. How about you?
That's a good point. I just want to mention something about the Simpsons pinball machine to explain that theming integration a bit better. It's like the pop bumpers, which you have a pop bumper,
Do you want me to show?
right? Yeah, show your pop bumper.
Yeah, so let me just explain what it is real quick. So this is probably one of the more recognizable sort of mechs or mechanisms in pinball, where, actually I have a pinball here, is where this will be somewhere on the playfield, and when it touches this, there's a little pad here that goes down, which then triggers this coil to fire, which slams down this metal piece, which smushes the pinball, shoots it out somewhere.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it's shooting it out when it touches the floor, we'll say.
I see.
And so usually traditionally it'll be like 2 or 3 in kind of like a triangle sort of shape, so that they ricochet off each other, and that causes a little bit of that randomness chaos, which is usually fun. Go ahead.
It just made me think how in Fall Guys, they have some of that. They have bubbly, they look like pop bumpers that the guys bump into and whatnot.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wasn't the point. In the Simpsons machine, the pop bumpers on the top of them have the nuclear power plant towers.
Yeah, like the steam.
Yeah,
stacks.
so it makes sense that they incorporated it that way.
The shooter rod had a donut. Homer Simpson
that's
loves
an
donuts.
upgrade, though.
Fair enough.
There's a thing where you hit Bart Simpson and he's on a skateboard and it moves him on his skateboard.
Is there? I'm trying to remember on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, and that's like, in the opening of The Simpsons,
Yeah.
he's on the skateboard.
Well, also in the upper playfield, they have like the Simpsons couch.
Yep, the
again
couch.
from their living room. It's pretty cool. I think I'm trying to remember if the whole upper playfield is themed after their like living room
I
in the
think
house.
it's so tiny. I think it
Yeah.
is just their living room. But yeah, it's got like a cool theme,
Mm-hmm.
and like the South Park one, even though it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Because it's Mr. Hanky
Yeah.
really plays a big role in that pinball machine.
There is a toilet in the machine,
There's
a literal toilet.
but the theme works so like they incorporated it just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't just slap it on there. I mean, they put a toilet in there.
Right. Yeah. The lazier approach is when you just have like, oh, it's a model of a toilet, right? That's in there. But
Yeah.
no, in South Park, the game,
The lid opens.
the lid opens up. Your ball can go over the toilet seat sometimes, and then when the lid opens up, the ball actually goes in, which is known as like, usually they'll do something like locking the ball. So if you're going to enter a mode that's referred to as multi-ball, where it's more than one ball in the play field, the machine also often has a ball lock. So the toilet will steal your ball, and then later on, multiple balls will come out once you get like multiple balls on the toilet.
I know.
Again, not cozy.
No, not really.
And if we want to talk about books which are cozy, I have a pinball book here that I got, much more cozy.
Yeah, for the book people who listen to the show, that is a graphic novel about like the creation and history of pinball machines. I haven't read it, but he breezed through it. So if you're interested, you can check that out. Themes I like. I agree with you that it needs to incorporate in some way. I will like a machine more if I like the gameplay. It's not so much about the theme. Like, I won't not play it because I don't like the theme. So, like, I haven't ever seen Austin Powers. And
It's still a crime that you've never seen Austin Powers, but go ahead.
I think that I wouldn't like it. I just really think I wouldn't like it. But there's an Austin Powers pinball machine, and it also has a toilet, or a fish and a toilet.
You're all over the place. Why can't I remember? I mean, it does have like the time warp thing where you
Yeah.
go up the middle. It does have, it might have a toilet on the left. I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
forgetting.
Well, anyway, like, I thought
A
that
lot of
was,
toilets in pinball, apparently.
I thought it was a fun machine to play, even though I'm like, I'm not Austin Powers kind of person. So it's more the playability that I like. But I love me an Elvira machine. Like, give me a busty woman on a pinball machine, and I am ready to kick those balls around.
Oh, God, this is going to be an Instagram story, isn't it?
I love Elvira machines. Twerking cows. Give me some good animals. Oh, I do like busty machines because when we went to the Pinball Hall of Fame, I really liked Big Melons.
Oh, you like Big Melons, and you liked the Playboy machine with the old lady.
Machine is only because of the old lady joke.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's this other machine. It was like an older machine that they remade, and it's called Big Melons or something. It's all about boobs, but there's melons, and I liked that one. Like, I guess I like funny machines.
Yeah. You tend to like kind of the wacky and crazy kind of things.
I definitely like the wacky ones.
Yeah.
I think that's a good description. So what's your pinball machine?
Good transition. I was just going to say the same. So like, when I was picking machine, I have a Google Doc somewhere with like probably like 10 ideas on it, and something wrong?
It's fallen.
Oh, and I hope it doesn't show too much cleavage here. And so, my first theme, I was actually it's fun to think of like themes and write them down, but it's different to actually start like thinking of how it would translate and planning out shots and planning out like, oh, this could do this, which would be cool. So my first one I actually started thinking about and starting to plan out was Mortal Kombat, and I was like, this is going to be the machine I'm going to do. And then I thought of another game, and I was like, the art is really good, the lore is pretty good, it lends itself probably a little bit better to pinball, and it was BioShock Infinite. So I love the BioShock games.
We should get that book.
BioShock Infinite. Oh, it's up there. It's too tall. You can't get it.
Too high.
So like BioShock Infinite, like the lore is so great, the art is interesting. So then what you start doing is you're thinking, where are there similarities between a pinball machine and this theme? What could I incorporate? And if look it up or link to it or something, but pinball machines often have, like, you'll hit it up a ramp and then it will come back down the field or go on the field on what normal people would probably call like, oh, it's a metal rail. Like they refer to them as like habit trails. But habit trails look very similar, right? Like it's often two rods and they're bent so that you can go kind of fun angles and squirt and curves and stuff, but they're two on the side and then one or two down at the bottom that are, hold the ball in so the ball follows the track. In BioShock Infinite, there's what's known as sky rail. So your character can kind of navigate through different areas of the levels by jumping on with a hook and grabbing the sky rail, which is basically an inverted pinball habit trail. It's like upside down. And you grab that and you're kind of flying around. So it's a very cool adaptation to be like, oh, well, you're flying around a pinball machine on these rails. So like that's a cool element. And there's just so many cool like art and things that I'm trying to figure out how best to kind of incorporate into the theme.
Gears and stuff too.
Yeah, there's
like
kind of
gears.
3 main settings, I'll say, in the game, one of which is Fink Industries, which is like a steampunkish. I mean, BioShock's kind of like a
steampunk.
Yeah, it's like a in the past with futuristic elements. I mean, you're in floating islands in the sky basically. That's not exactly way back, but a lot of the art is kind of, 50s and 40s, maybe even like earlier than that. No, I'm not talking 50s, like maybe like late 1800s, 1900s sort of stuff.
You just gotta look it up.
Yeah, look it up. And so like being able to incorporate that has so many cool things, so many different ideas. So I'm working through a lot of different designs, many of which aren't going to work. That's kind of the fun part, and the pain of it is you kind of have all these ideas. You have to actually try them out. They don't always work.
Yeah. So BioShock Infinite, this connects to the gaming part of this podcast, right? It's not a cozy game. Well, it could be. It could be a cozy game for you.
The story is interesting. If you skipped maybe all of the fighting and gunplay and stuff, which I think when we played it together, you would hand me the controller to.
Yes, it was one of the first video games I played. We played it together. It's a single player game. It's a campaign. It's an RPG, right?
No, not an RPG. It's just like a single player shooting game. The story.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say that's kind of like an RPG.
Okay.
You're like, no, not my definition. Well, it's got beautiful art. I remember when we were playing it, I was like going into it was also one of the first games I played, so I didn't know how to play games properly yet, but I was looking at everything in like every corner, everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's a fun game if you want something a little bit challenging, if you're into steampunk, and you really like story-driven games.
Yeah, the story's good. The characters, you really get invested in the characters. The voice acting's really good.
It's good. And you could dial down the difficulty, too,
Yeah.
if you aren't usually into playing those like first-person shooter games. So you could still play it and enjoy the story, but...
Probably can't dial it down quite to Life is Strange territory. But,
not that.
but close.
Yeah, you could still play it even if you're not like a super gamer, and it's got a great story. So I was excited when he picked that as his theme, and I have the art book.
Yeah, we picked at a local retro game store. We saw the art book for it, and we're like, oh, we got to get that because it has a lot of the like previs, like their ideas that they made before actually coming up with the final stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I like that theme. You were thinking about doing Two Crude Dudes at one point.
Yeah, there's this, a lot of people don't know the game, but it's this Sega Genesis beat 'em up and called Two Crude Dudes. Again, like I'm not trying to make a machine for like other people. Like I want it to be enjoyable by other people, but I'm the one spending hundreds of hours building it. It's going to stay in my house, so it has to be something I want. So I was like, let me do Two Crude Dudes. But, I am going to have an LCD in it where I have all these graphics and stuff. And I had really some interesting ideas for like the incorporating of the theme into the game. But that would have been pretty cool. But I kind of, I lacked finding some of the art resources and sound resources enough to kind of fully fill it out, because a lot of these pinball machines have way more sound effects than you realize. I mean,
you can't hear them in the bar.
Yeah, that's the only downside I'll say with playing in the bar. Like you get a good experience playing pinball, but sound is so important to some of these games, and you really can't hear them in a bar where there's many pinball machines going.
Yeah. Especially a music machine.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't know.
No.
Our machine, like, you could pick the song that you play to in the beginning. Can't hear that in a bar. What was I
Which is why we just need more machines, because we got to get the full experience here at the house.
I really have to hear what the Elvira machines really sound like.
That's true. We don't even really know.
I don't know.
I will say that I told you about it when I went to a retro store near us. They had an Elvira machine that I hadn't played before. Or I don't think you played it either. I think it was the first one. Might be wrong, but they had it there, and I wasn't sure if it was like free to play or not. So I pressed the start button to see if it would start a game, or if it would, say like putting credits or something.
Yeah.
And God, I forgot what she said, but like I pressed start and I wasn't expecting it, and the busty lady on the back, and she was like, "Ooh, don't touch me there." I was like,
yeah,
"Oh,"
you did tell
I was
me.
like, "Oh my God," I wasn't expecting that. It was pretty funny.
I love it. I love a busty bitch. So, there's a lot of interesting things about building the pinball machine, a lot of challenging things. How are you able to keep yourself motivated through the challenges and not just get stuck and give up?
Yeah, I like to at least accomplish one. Like, I like to feel accomplished after whatever step I'm doing, right? Like, you have once you complete the whole thing is the grand climax of accomplishment, right? But you have little progress along the way. I mentioned the example earlier of making the half loop, and like I felt after that day when I designed it, I printed it out, that was kind of cool. When I put it on the play field, and it took many times because, again, it was pretty narrow, but I could get it to do what it was supposed to do, and I felt rewarded of like, what I designed works. But it's a little bit too hard to hit, and that detracts, because when you're thinking of pinball shots, you don't want it to be too hard, because then people get frustrated and they don't want to play it. It's not fun. You don't want it to be too easy, because then there's no challenge. People don't have fun. You really want to balance and toe the line there. So when I made it a little bit bigger, again, it's not like I designed something completely new. It was still the same shape. It was just a little bit wider. Hit it more often. That, again, was an accomplishment. So you have a lot of these little accomplishments all the way, especially even just learning how to use the CNC machine to mill out wood. That felt accomplishment. So I have a lot of these little progression points or little milestones, probably more appropriate term, along the way that then are leading up to the ultimate, final.
You're good at naturally breaking things up into those little milestones. I feel like it's like something we learn in my day job. I do coaching, and we teach people to break up their goals into smaller goals, because it helps you feel that sense of accomplishment and motivates you to keep going. And you do that really well just naturally. Whereas somebody else might be like, a pinball machine, woof, that's huge. But you're like, yeah, well, I'm going to build this thing. And then like, oh, yay, I got that to work.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next thing. So if we could all do that a little more, I think it would be.
Yeah, well, one thing that I
better.
like to think about is how like I'm being purposeful in what I learned, and like all of these little disciplines. Like, again, like I went to a welding class, and now I've welded a few things for the pinball machine, and it's like all of these disciplines you can go super deep, and are their entire own, like, people's whole lives are spent doing just this.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable enough. I learn very quickly, and then I'm comfortable and really good at learning enough to do what I need to accomplish at the time, so that I don't feel like I have to tackle this mountainous dictionary of how to use a CNC machine. I just have to know it enough to do what I need to do. And then so I'm able to kind of very quickly get in, learn what I need to, and then get out and then come back to it. And the other thing is that a lot of these things I'm learning for building a pinball machine, but they apply I can use them. I can use either the genre, or like what I'm doing, the metalworking or the woodworking. I can use them for other things if I choose to. So I always have that kind of in the back of my mind, that while I'm purposely doing it for a pinball machine, this is kind of beneficial for a lot of different things if I choose to do something.
And you enjoy it.
And I enjoy it.
Even though sometimes it's frustrating. yeah, I'm trying to think of how that applies to like some other things. Like people who start streaming, like when I started streaming, it was overwhelming to figure out how like OBS works. But you figure out just enough to get yourself going.
And then build upon that.
Yeah, and then you could get better and better. Like with the podcast, you know, I started very simple, and now I've got backups, and I put extra things in there and whatnot.
And this is the first in-person one.
In-person.
I'm sure if you do future in-person ones, they'll be a little bit better as you improve.
The camera setup, we were originally going to have two. My phone was taped to a stand.
Well, you don't got to listen. This is the internet. You think streamers' rooms are like all clean and like perfectly looking behind what the camera sees?
You don't. There's this whole genre on Instagram of setup content, and people make their setups look beautiful. And you're like, where are all your cables? I don't know how they make it look like that.
They hit it for the picture, and then a week later, they got their wrappers on the desk. They got the coffee spilt on the rug. Like, again, Instagram, and that is all like, you know, people's best on display only.
I know. We need more of those people who do the reality Instagrams. There's like this genre too of people being like, this is what my kitchen actually looks like to make people feel better, and then like clean it up.
Yeah, I like when you see it's usually women, but when, you know, for like fitness models or you know, photos of women, it's always, you know, at a certain angle to make you look the best, which then, you know, makes women kind of feel bad about their look and bad because again, you're seeing the best. But then you see like some will post like the properly posed perfect photo and then what their stomach looks like when they're like leaning down,
or
and
like,
you're like
after they eat a meal.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, that's more like me, right? So it is nice to see the reality versus the curated reality.
That's another thing that people could like look up if they want to feel like that the big end goal is too big. Is some people will document like their process going through things, like. For lots of indie game developers, they do dev vlogs. This is very popular. They're going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's a great way to see how people have to go through all these steps to get to the big end goal.
Yeah, I like some of the see my progress of learning this in 30 days or 6 months or a year. Like there was one of, I think somebody learning how to do like a standing backflip, right? There's one doing a kickflip in skateboarding and all that sort of stuff.
I'm remembering that video we watched of a guy making his AI self do a backflip or whatever.
That was really funny. It
was like, what was it? He made like a digital avatar of himself.
Yeah, I think he like 3D scanned himself and then he like rigged it up. And then, so like in a virtual environment, like a Unreal or whatever digital environment he did it in, you know, his arms could work and whatnot. So then he gave it like a training model to learn how to do a backflip. Yeah.
And see, that's the type of content you watch and why you're so good at the, like, sitting through the process.
Yeah, there's so many failures before you get a success. So you have to be okay with that. You really have to be okay with that.
Good lesson. That's how we're connecting the cozy to this. And
yes. There is inspiration here to be had.
And pinball is fun, and anything that you enjoy can be cozy. It doesn't have to just be coffee and cozy games.
Yeah, and like, yes, pinball with the chaos of the pinballs. It's
overstimulating sometimes.
The lights flashing, the sounds if you can hear them. But like when I did my first, actually it was my second tournament, I guess. Like when I was actually playing, I was trying to, you know, a lot of people listen to music, so I had my earbuds in and listening. And you get into like this flow state that even though like a lot of things on the play field are happening, you still have the lights, but you kind of just have your, whatever music you're listening to that's comforting, you zone everything out, and you get into like this just hyper focus of what's going on that I would say is pretty cozy.
Yeah. That's like another good tip if someone feels like they get too overstimulated and they might think, you know, I still want to try pinball, but I've always been kind of nervous because I feel like it would be too much for me. You could do something like wearing noise canceling headphones when you go into somewhere like that and play, or try to find a place that's not like a barcade that's filled with like a ton of machines.
Yeah, a lot of places will only, on Pinball Map, you can find places 1, 2 machines.
Yeah, find a place that's smaller. So don't be like afraid to try it because it seems a little
Yeah, and you're not going to be good at it at first. You're very...
It's easy. Like, there's not many things to understand.
Yeah.
You hit the ball, you know?
Well, I mean, maybe a slight oversimplification, but like you don't have to know the rules to have a good time.
Right.
Most
Everybody
pinball
can
machines,
have
the
fun.
people who know pinball, you know, people say, "What do? Shoot the spot where the light is flashing and pointing, right? Like you
Yeah.
can just follow the game without knowing it. Now, if you want to, like, you're going for like a super high score and you're in a tournament, you do have to know kind of all the rules and doing
Yeah.
what's going to trigger what. But if you're just having fun, just shoot things, shoot the lights, and eventually it'll say multi-ball, right? And then you'll get like 4 balls flying down, you're smacking things around. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. But you can get very deep into it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think we both have gotten more interested in it, too, of like seeing all the creativity that goes into it, besides just keep the ball up
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there. But you could keep it as just keep the ball up there. It's great.
It's up to you.
All right. Game time.
Let's do it. I don't know what the game is. I hope it doesn't embarrass me.
Again, he does not get special treatment for being my husband. He still has to play a game, and it's still a surprise.
Okay. Is it pinball related?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
The game is usually related to the theme
Okay.
of the episode, so
Okay.
yes. Okay. So this game is called What Machine Does the Multi-Ball Belong to?
Oh God. Okay. I mean,
Everybody responds when I explain a game.
here's the good thing, though. It depends on how nice to me you're being, because I'll say in pinball, people aren't the most creative with some of the names of multi-balls, right? Like it'll be like the theme, but like BioShock multi-ball, right? Is what I'd call it. I'd be like, oh, that's probably from the BioShock game I'm making. So, all right, let's see.
I tried to not give you too obvious of ones, okay?
I hope you gave me a through softballs, but okay.
I looked through many a game guides to find these.
I'm still new. Again, I've only been playing
Okay,
pinball
so-
since December.
I try to make this I try to make the games fair for all the guests.
Okay.
So these are machines that you have played, each of these machines.
Okay.
And let me
Focus in.
see. I have played all these machines.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not something you want to know. Okay. First one. There's 10.
10. Okay.
Signature Stage Multi-Ball.
Now, are you gonna put this on like the screen? You have like cool things. You're gonna edit it nicely.
Maybe.
Like a score. Okay. Sorry. Say that again.
Signature Stage Multi-Ball.
Signature Stage. Foo Fighters.
No.
What was it?
You want to give another guess?
Oh no, I have no clue.
Do you want a hint?
Sure. I hear
It's-
Sophie snoring, but our cat is snoring, and I don't know if they can hear it.
I
Probably
can't
can't
believe
hear it on the
she
thing.
didn't come in here. For
I know.
the
I'm
show.
surprised. Anyway.
It's a music-themed machine.
Okay. What was it again?
Signature Stage.
Oh, is that Elton John?
Yes.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding.
Second guess. All right.
I've
I've only played that machine
twice.
twice. Okay, was it my third? Oh, I've only played it twice because I only played it at the show. But okay. Next.
All right. Ninja Pizza Multi-Ball.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Yeah,
too.
she likes it, but it's also a really hard game that I think she wouldn't like long term.
That's my favorite multi. I like it for that multi-ball.
That is a fun multi-ball.
All right. Stiff in the Coffin multi-ball.
Elvira Scared Stiff.
Yes.
Okay, a softball. Thank you.
Gabby multi-ball.
I think Gabby. I have a hint.
It's a Jersey Jack machine.
Jersey Jack machine. Well, there aren't that many Jersey Jacks that we both played out. Is it Toy Story? Mm-hmm. Toy Story 4.
Yes. Gabby is like, I don't know the character because I haven't watched that movie, but she's a doll and her head pops up onto the playfield.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the characters in Toy Story 4.
Gold Mine multi-ball.
God. Oh, bet you it's Cactus Canyon.
It is!
Yeah.
She's getting all of them.
Yeah, so, I mean, 2 of them I had to get hints, so.
Tank Attack multi-ball.
Is that Galactic Tank Force?
No.
I was gonna say, because I don't remember ever getting a bolt. Did I even play that?
Yes, you played. I made you play it.
Oh, okay, you played more than I did. All right, what was it again?
Tank Attack multi-ball.
Okay, is that Godzilla?
Yes! Yes, it is.
New Godzilla, not old Godzilla.
New Godzilla. There was something special about it, I feel like, but I can't remember, and I didn't write down the fun fact.
Again, the thing I was writing about, saying about multi-balls is like the main multi-ball in Godzilla is Godzilla multi-ball.
Yeah, so I couldn't pick that one.
And I don't know if it's in here, but like the Jurassic Park game we're thinking of getting, the main multi-ball is T-Rex multi-ball, right? Like it's not the most creative thing in the world.
Yeah, so I'm trying to give you tricky ones.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Kawabongo multi-ball.
I mean, that sounds like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing again, but I don't think you'd put it again because cowabunga.
Bongo, like COW-A-bongo. That's how it reads.
I don't know that many games that have cows in them. Again, it's, I don't know, Galactic Tank Force?
Yes!
I played it once. I did not get a multi-ball.
I thought you would maybe know because of the cow.
Well, I thought because of the tank that it was too, but it
So
wasn't.
those are two next to each other. So you have to like save the cows in that multi-ball.
Okay.
You have to hit the UFO and save the cows, okay? All right. Multi-ball madness.
Multi-ball madness. See, madness is such a generic term. I don't know. I'm going to need a hint.
This game is at the bar we go to play often.
Multi-ball madness.
It's very rare to get a multi-ball on this game. At least when we've played it.
Oh, Medieval Madness.
Yes. Another great machine.
Got it.
All right.
Right there in the name, and I couldn't think of it. Madness right there.
That's why
Right in front of me.
Really trying to think of like, how can I give it in? You got two more.
Okay.
All right. King of the Island multi-ball.
Jeez, I don't want to get a hint for everything here. King of the Island? I need a hint. Do I even know pinball?
There's a vehicle in this game.
Like on the playfield? Like a
Yeah, like a toy.
vehicle?
You eventually will know because this is Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
And yes, their other one is way too obvious, multi-ball, so I had to give you the King of the Island one.
I haven't played Jurassic Park enough. I don't know that I've gotten that multi-ball. I've gotten T-Rex multi-ball, but not that other one.
All right, and the last one, Bounty Hunt multi-ball.
Jaws.
Yes. That one I thought was interesting because depending on what shark you're reeling in, the multi-ball is different.
Yep. Fun tip. So the game designer who designed our Iron Maiden pinball machine is the one who designed Jurassic Park, which we're getting, who also designed Jaws.
Oh, well, we need to get from another designer.
Well, why? We will eventually,
we don't
but
have Galactic Tank Force.
I have unfortunately heard some reliability issues with
You
Galactic
told me
Tank
that.
Force.
I don't care.
Yeah, but the people don't know. I'm telling the people so they can help convince me that we don't want a machine. I'm already building a pinball machine. I don't also need a pinball machine that I have to repair all the time.
Twerking cows. It's worth it. Ice cream blasters.
I mean, listen, honestly, if it was like something that anything to get you to play more pinball, I'm for. But unfortunately, these machines are so darn expensive that it's hard to justify, spending $8,000-9,000 on twerking cows that
Fair.
may not stay reliable.
Fair. Okay. Well, Travis, that's all I got for the episode.
Cool. Thank you for having me here in our library.
Thanks for being on. Is there anything that you wanted to say that you didn't get to say about pinball?
If you haven't played pinball, go check it out. Go play. Give it a chance. If you don't like it, that's okay. But it only cost a few quarters to go give it a shot.
Right. And is that what you want to leave the audience with, or do you want to leave them with something else? Usually ask people that.
I'll say, if you have a project you want to tackle but you're intimidated, break it into little chunks, set some milestones, be happy with the progress you make along the way.
Love it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the library today, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.